Hey everyone, I'm back and I'm happy to be back. And I definitely knew, like, the moment I posted my last video last week, I was like, yeah, there's going to be some craziness. And sure enough, there was craziness. I mean, there was the Rod Rosenstein op-ed that came out for the New York Times came out, which led to him going to the White House, and now there's whispers of him leaving. So that is going to be an interesting thing to read upon, because I think there's a lot of people that are definitely convinced that he's going to leave, and it could very well be true because things are coming up. But I kind of want to get into this whole reading in terms of what this, because I was out and I kind of seen the evolution, and I see the whispers, and I didn't see any, at this point in time in this reading, I haven't seen any of him, any sort of official word, just rumors and thoughts of coming out. So I'm kind of curious what the cards would say about that. So I wanted to do a reading on that. The Kavanaugh circus is still going on strong. It is pretty crazy, but I think that's for another video. I have a reading for that, not on Kavanaugh, because, you know, we've already done 2 on him. But I think I want to see about the different other energies that are coming in around the situation that's being influenced and running through with the new accusations that are coming out about him. I also, there's some other ones I want to do, just kind of try to catch up with some of the news that's been going on. So, but this one I'm going to focus in on Rosenstein and this New York Times ed, where he was the witness, according to this piece, was saying that he spoke about the 25th Amendment and said something about wiring Trump, or to get something off of Trump or something like this. And this occurred around the time after Comey was fired. So, and it was shortly before Mueller was appointed. So I wanted to kind of go into that reading and kind of just see what the energy is and what's going on there and where is it leading, and is Rosenstein, maybe it'll reveal whether Rosenstein is definitely leaving or if it will show that he's going to shoulder through. I mean, are we talking, I mean, we can't really make assumptions. I mean, it seems pretty clear on the head, on whatever is being presented outside. This could be a situation that really harkens back to kind of the Nixon era. So let's see where we go with this and see what it says. So, all right. Let's see what we got, right? Okay. Let us get into this and see where we can go. What is driving this whole thing? So where are we heading? What is this New York piece about? What is its indication towards Rosenstein? All right, so we got 7 of Cups here, some options in the air, things not in motion. We have Mueller here, so this is going, this would be that, those 2 cards together would definitely say that there's somebody looking at some options to handle the Mueller investigation, right? We got some movement going. There's a feeling of victory with this card on the people that are trying to stall this situation. Judgment is coming, but judgment for who? That's the other question, right? We got some offers we don't like. All right. So, where are we heading? What is it going? Standing our ground. What's this New York starting from this the beginning with this news piece, some word, we're talking about the news piece. So let's see. And the fool's journey here. Is it being foolish? Let's find out. Okay. All right. So we have the 5 of Wands, which is the argument card. So I would probably say that the words that was written is causing a lot of arguments. There's a lot of arguments, and it's about something that occurred in the past that reflects today. And now these guys are arguing about whether or not that is grounds to removal. So I would definitely say these are people, everybody is just arguing. There's a lot of argument going on. I would probably say when you think about when he did this, this was the time, when Comey was fired. This was the first times people started speaking. I mean, the 25 minutes, if anybody thinks about it, the 25th Amendment has been brought up so many times during this presidency. I think that if you didn't even know what the 25th Amendment was before this presidency, you sure know what it is now. So because it's in such the mainstream media, it's in the mainstream consciousness about whether or not, and I believe Comey even was speaking about it, and he said no, he didn't see any grounds for it. I mean, Rosenstein, everybody was talking about it. So to kind of say that it's bad that he spoke about it, it's kind of weird. It's like people can't, apparently right now, you can't have an opinion. If you have an opinion, you must be removed. You see it happening all the time, especially, and it's really targeted at the legislative branch, anybody who's working for the FBI or anything of that situation. So that's kind of where that is. Now with the wiring thing, I think just from what I've kind of seen and gleaned and glanced, it was kind of like a side note. It was a side thought and stuff, but nobody ever acted upon it. It was just brought up. But the way this thing was brought about was to use as an attack piece to make it for grounds. So in some ways I kind of feel like just from this argument and just from what I've been discussing, this really feels like kind of like this might be a weapon of two sorts. So I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but let's see if it comes up, let's just see if I'm just going to see if my thoughts are wrong here. So, all right. So we have some loss in the past. Okay. The loss would be for Rosenstein when we're asking about how this is affecting him. This is disappointment. So disappointment and loss. Okay. So the piece came out and there's disappointment and loss. And you know what? If you really think about it, when the piece did come out, people really are holding the legislative department to really high standards right now, because they are kind of like in a lot of people's views they're the last hope standing between what America stands for and what Trump wants it to become, right? The administration to become. So they're kind of seeing that. So they're feeling a little bit of disappointment. They're feeling a little bit of loss. They're feeling kind of, they're upset about the piece. So, and I think the piece kind of highlighted that, and that altered the mood of the consciousness of the people here in the United States. So I really do think that is that's very poignant, on how people are holding these people. It's like now these people are not allowed to have an opinion because, somebody wrote a hit piece and it's caused the situation that we are currently in right now with his situation, right? Currently. Now, this is the sitting pretty card. It's like, appreciate what you have right now. So appreciate what you have in the material. Things are going well. You're sitting pretty. So in this argument, we're trying to figure out who is sitting pretty. Is it Rod Rosenstein sitting pretty, or is it the person, or is it the energy behind trying to push him out that's sitting pretty? So we have disappointment. The public is disappointed. And we have this sitting pretty, whoever has caused this situation is sitting pretty, or is it Rod Rosenstein sitting pretty that, these are unfounded stuff. I mean, he's already made his way to the White House. I thought I saw a piece over the weekend where it was stated that Trump said he won. I don't know what that means, but we'll keep going. So I'm not clear on who's the sitting pretty. So there's suspension. So the challenge for the situation is to slow this down, to not go forward with just, oh my gosh, we're so disappointed. Now we have to rush forward to move this guy out. It's to slow it down, take a look at it from all sides, be logical, understand the situation before making rash decisions. So that's would be the challenge for this situation. Okay, so there's some indecision. So I don't think his fate is fully decided yet at this second, that when I have done this, when I'm doing this reading, the decision I don't think is decided right now. Now, there should be, because this is an undecided card, there could be a block here. There could be something that's blocking the decision to be made, but there are some undecided factors right now. So, according to this reading. So my biggest question is, right now it doesn't look like anybody's walking, but it definitely shows the mood of what this reading, of what this New York Times piece has done. So we'll figure out who that is here soon. All right. So we have loss. This is my card for Trump, usually. Depending on the reading, the Nine of Cups is my card for Trump, and sometimes he also shows up as the King of Pentacles, because he's very money-oriented. Everything is about money for this guy. But, this is also him being smug. So it leads me to believe that this piece made Trump feel very happy. He was very happy with this piece. And it's also kind of making me feel like, the piece was kind of designed, and for him, it makes him happy in two ways. The piece was designed kind of like, I think it's kind of like a retribution. It's like the New York op-ed piece that came out about an insider within the White House talking about the conditions in the White House, and that made him very angry. So this piece comes out like in retribution. It's like, I'm going to use anonymous sources as something against the New York Times. He's trying to make a point, so it's a manipulation, I think, of the media. Definitely. The other part is that he feels like he's definitely got a handle on being able to stop or slow the Russian investigation. This is what he believes. So he feels pretty darn good about this loss that is happening. So I think he's pretty happy with what's happening. All right, the hit piece. Okay. Who's sitting pretty? I think this is the people who put out the piece, because now they're getting the desired results. They're getting the desired results of putting Rosenstein's his reputation on the line. So they've shaken that belief in him that he's going to make things go. People really have strong belief in Rosenstein, as well as Mueller. And to be able to do the people's biddings to get what needs to be done, in spite of all the obstacles they have, especially when you have the executive branch trying to oust them, trying to put people in to do their bidding, not the bidding of the people. The Devil card would indicate to me, right, is that this is tied to the Devil card. This is whoever is behind the hit piece is sitting pretty, because the Devil card sits on top of it. So, all right. So at this point in time, it looks like Rosenstein is definitely affected by this, and it definitely can lend to the possibility of a decision being made about his position. So the challenge will be for inner strength. The strength to hold fast, to not give in to the demands, to not, it's just that inner strength. I mean, you could be shaken. It's like, you think you got everything going, and then somebody, writes about something that everybody's spoken about, and you twist it in a way that it becomes an attack that shakes the credibility. It's going to shake your strength, and it's going to have your inner strength, your inner, the inner workings. I don't feel that this is something that they were not expecting. I don't think this comes as entirely a huge surprise, but they probably, the way it came about, surprised them. So, okay. So let's put it up here. Okay. So we have the 4 of Wands. So this is the happy home environment. So we have some indecisions, and then I would really definitely say this whole row right here. So this is the situation, right, with Rosenstein. This, because Trump leads this row. Now the challenge is obviously to the question usually, but this row really does feel like that it is in the executive branch and kind of where Trump is feeling. He feels like he's got a control on this. He is pretty happy about the results. He is happy. He's feeling in control. He's getting control. So this isn't looking good for Rod Rosenstein at the moment. So there's so it's like his decision is kind of out of his hands. All right, we have the hanging on. So we have a loss, we have the Trump card with a happy merchant card, and then we have the hanging on to what is. So now the progression here is who's hanging on. This would be Rod Rosenstein just trying to hang on to the plan. I mean, because they have a plan. There is a plan that's moving, but it's being disrupted. And this is, when it comes right underneath Trump, it could also be Trump just hanging on to the power to kind of force his hand to say. Now, this is not out in the open. I don't think this is any out in the open. These are perceptions, right? But I really do feel that Trump is very happy that the perception about Rosenstein has fallen. He's very happy about that. And he is trying to, he's kind of forcing his hand and showing off that he is hanging on to his power. And Rosenstein is trying to hang on to his position. So, okay. So we have a retreat. Now this might be a fairly good glimmer, because like I said, this is already starting out to be the person who did it, right? The person who did the op-ed, the people who did it to try to shake the foundations of what this thing is, of what this event has happened. And when that happens, it's going to be a retreat. So now, Rosenstein, like Mueller, those guys are usually in the background. We don't hear from them much except for when indictments are being doled out. They don't make announcements. They don't do anything unlike anything else. So they could have a retreat. They're probably retreating and talking about things, but this also could be the devil being forced to retreat. They're going to probably have to, because if this plan that they've done to shake things up, and if they can't make this perception about who Rod Rosenstein is stick, it's going to fall apart and they're going to be forced to retreat. So we've got a power struggle here, getting the word out. So this is going to be troublesome on all parts, is being able to get the good word out, to show that, you know, Rod is not the way he is. The word is, you know, because they have a code of conduct that they're also working off of, and you got at the other side who's playing dirty tactics, right? So you have this thing. So it's going to be, how are they going to get the word out? I mean, what is it? What is the proper way to respond to this? Obviously, he went to the White House, so things are talking like that. So I got a power struggle here. Sharing. So this could very well be, I'm moving this up here so we can see everything. This is, you know, I look at this oftentimes as sharing of information. It could be, you know, the giving, it could be income inequality. It could be the sharing of ideas, the sharing of knowledge. But this could also be a quid pro quo card. So there could be some backdoor deals going on in order to make this, in order for all this to happen. So somebody probably got paid for this hit piece. Okay, but I see a power struggle. All right, let's see what this outcome is. The King of Cups, the emotional. It's the emotional king. It's what will come out of this is heads prevail. That's what I'm kind of seeing. It's kind of seeing heads prevail. But there's not a walking away card. I see a retreat. I see a loss. I see power struggles. I see indecision about what's going to happen. I see Trump very happy with the situation. He is very pleased with how this situation destabilized the public's perception of Rod Rosenstein. And I see the department, the legislative department, trying to come to a way of, without breaking their protocol, to be able to respond to this. That's probably why he went to have a private meeting with the White House about this. There are whispers now going on. Sometimes, and a lot of times lately, any whispers that start coming out, it becomes true. So, but I have the King of Cups here, which would, emotionally, people will get their heads about them emotionally. So, if we have a retreat here, of going into rest before the battle, it could very well mean that because this looks like that this is the hit piece and how it's currently affecting, if their ideas do not stick on Rosenstein, they're going to be forced to retreat. But the outcome is unclear for Rosenstein. So personally, I really hope that I wish that we would get back to the rule of law, not this, if you're not on my side, I'm going to do anything I can to get you out. Dirty tactics otherwise. This looks like to me, the Rosenstein piece looks like a hit piece. It looks like a power struggle. There is a power struggle between Trump and the legislative branch, and Trump feels like currently he's winning, right? But it looks like the person who did the piece got paid. So, all right, I hope you enjoy this reading. I will speak to you soon. Talk to you soon.